Let's just go ahead and hit this second corporation. Oh, you
While we're
guys,
here.
again, notice again. I'm going to belabor this point because it needs to be made. They are telling us that this ideology is somehow the resistance, is somehow cutting edge, cool, trendy. It's supported by the media, the propaganda machine. It's supported by all the major corporations now, but it's the resistance. Right. Okay, this one is a story about Yelp. I know some of you have already seen this. You want to read this, Carter? What?
Must I? Okay. Yelp. Sorry. I don't want it to exist. I'm being irrational. I will read it. Okay. Yelp to label businesses accused of racist behavior amid discrimination uptick. Actually, technically, it probably wasn't a discrimination uptick. It was a reports of discrimination uptick, but we'll just let that slide in the title. Yelp has created a new label to warn users about businesses accused of racism. Operative word being accused of racism, following an uptick in reports. It is an uptick in reports. Look at that. An uptick in reports of discrimination. The review platform says the alert will help consumers decide whether they'll be welcome at a particular business, but it's already receiving criticism by people who claim it will be used to destroy merchants with false allegations. Yeah. There's not really much else to read other than people's opinions about this. But
so what they're going to do, I don't know if that article has, but there's a picture of what will appear on the profile of the business. And it basically says it's a big, it's like the scarlet R people call it. This business has been accused of racist behavior. So this reminds me of a few things. The show Black Mirror, the social credit system that we've already seen in places like China. I have a lot of, like, when I weigh the negatives and the positives of this. Okay, here's one potential positive, Carter.
Here's the thing. I found your thing. Business accused of racist behavior. Recently, someone associated with this business, and by associated they mean claims to have gone there.
Yeah.
Associated with his business was accused. I see. Associated to an employee was accused of racist behavior by who? Resulting in an influx of people posting their views to this page. Racism is reprehensible. Blah blah blah. You're getting warned.
Okay, so here's one possible positive interpretation, because I know our mind probably doesn't go there first. Yelp has become a tool that people use in cancel culture to try and target businesses that they had a bad experience with, or they didn't like, or that they interpreted, and to go after, like, people will go online and get their followers to go and attack for them. And that's BS. I'm sorry. You should never be writing a negative review for a place that you haven't actually been to, a restaurant or hotel or whatever, on someone else's behalf. You're just part of a mob when you're doing that. You're being used. And Yelp acknowledges this. And what they usually do is currently, before this policy, what they've usually done is they've then taken all of those negative reviews when they all happen at once as part of a mob. They've taken them and hidden them. If you report them, like if you're the business owner, you can go in and you can report them, and you can say, this person did not actually come to my restaurant.
Right.
Or this person did not actually come, whatever my business is, they did not actually come here, and they will hide them. Okay. So that's how they've dealt with it so far. And I actually think that's the best way to do it. What they're trying to do now is they're trying to say, okay, instead of just hiding them, I think they're still going to hide them, but we're going to put a big old R sticker on there, or whatever the sticker is, to let you know that this person has been marked, right? So it's the pretense of trying to address these cancel culture mobs that happen to businesses. But I think in the end, that's a positive interpretation, but I think in the end, it's going to be negative, because then the mob is still going to succeed in getting this scarlet R put on a business. So real quick anecdote. One of the last, I used to represent this social justice warrior, this comedian, Debbie Kamau Bell. And one of the last things I ever had to deal with him before we parted ways, thankfully, was he went to a bakery in San Francisco, and he accused them of racism in a public blog post and then in several follow-up news articles. It was called the Elmwood Cafe, I think.
Okay.
And when you hear the facts of the story, it's one of those things that it could go either way. You have no idea the intent or motivation behind this person. What was happening was that he had been at a bookstore or something. He'd bought a book. He was walking by the restaurant. His wife and her friends were outside eating. His wife is white. Her friends are white. He's black. He walked by, and while they were eating on the other side of I don't know if they have a gate or something there, whatever, on the outside of the little outdoor restaurant seating area, he was showing them the book he had just bought. One of the employees thought he was panhandling or trying to sell them a book, because they get a lot of panhandlers bothering people in the outside portion of the restaurant. So somebody came over, one employee, and asked him to leave. Could it have been racially motivated? Yes. Could it not have been racially motivated? Yes. You don't know what's in that person's head, but he took it as racially motivated. He also did this public posting about it and this public shaming. All of his fans went after the restaurant. They all gave them a 1-star review on Yelp. Because it was a very woke area, the business owner his business started to suffer. Yep. He actually talked with me, the business owner, because we were trying to do a public discussion, like I was still in SJW then. We were trying to do a public education where we publicly re-educate this restaurant owner.
Because you were extorting him.
Right. Basically, we were the mob. Okay. So he called me, and get this business owner donated. He was such a progressive. He sponsored a school in Africa for African school children. He gave a portion of the restaurant's proceeds to charity. He did all these things in behavior that would prove to you he's not what it is that we're calling him. But at the same time, it was like, no, you need to be held accountable for this. So we set up this public conversation between him and my comedian, and it never stopped. Even after I parted ways with Kamau, with the comedian, I saw he was still talking about this cafe. The cafe went under. It ended up going under. That guy lost his business.
Yep.
Because he was constantly referred to as racist in the press. I give you this anecdote because if that happened today with this new policy, Yelp would put a big old scarlet R on his profile and then link to the news items. I think what they're trying to say is, well, if it's a bad enough controversy that it makes the news, then people should know about it. But they're not taking into account that the news is spreading narrative. We had news stories written about this one guy's encounter. Why? Because he had a following, because he was a comedian. So anybody with a grievance who in their mind chooses to take something one way and go and tell their fans about it, and then mobilize their fans to act as little, on their behalf to take down a business, they're going to get news articles. They can get news articles written about it. And then the news article itself is standing as a guilty verdict. Isn't that fascinating?
That's how trial by media works. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering actually if the Yelp thing, it could backfire if regular people want it to backfire, because what you could do is you could just complain about literally every business so that every business has to be accused of, like, everyone gets accused of racist behavior, and then it just the whole thing becomes meaningless. But yeah, I don't know. This is why culture is more important than politics, right? You can't make a law that people can't do this stuff. Like, if people want to gang up and socially ostracize and not go to a restaurant, that's not something the law can handle. That's just bad culture, right? That's just zombie mobs. So,
sorry, yeah. That was a bit of a long story, but it's interesting to me because I've seen it happen so close to me in something I had a hand in. Yep. And it's I don't know. It's like witch trials.
Right. Yeah. Like, no, I mean, that's what it is. Yep. Maria Tuscan saying accuse woke businesses. Right. So if you start accusing woke businesses, they'll get that sign too. And then Yelp will have to do something else because Yelp will probably know that those are the woke businesses, and they're going to have to try and, figure out a way around this. Let's do a few more super chats.
I want to respond to that. I don't think we should do that. I understand the intent behind it. And I totally get it. It's that whole holding them to their own standards thing and their own. But again, they have a rule. Like, you're not supposed to review a place you haven't actually been to and experience the service yourself. Oh, you could go. But yeah, I don't want to be a part of any mob for any reason, because what if I'm wrong?
Yeah,
you know
no, look,
I mean?
I don't want to be a part of a mob either, but I don't even think Marie was saying necessarily to do it that way.
Right.
I think the way to undermine this is to get every business on Yelp have this accusation. Like, if you can get literally every business to have the accusation, then the accusation means nothing. But yeah, I get it. Or just stop using Yelp.
Yeah. Which
that
sucks
works.
because I really like Yelp.
I never really used Yelp. I don't use Yelp.
I like Yelp, but one other quick thing before the super chats about them. My friend Mandy Statmiller, I saw her posting about this yesterday. She said, and I'm paraphrasing, ask any small business owner. They already behave like the mob. They already behave like the mafia. Yelp, I've
Yelp
seen
itself.
This. Yes, I've seen this at small businesses because I've helped to do the social media accounts at some of the places I've worked at in the recent years. They will call you and they're basically like, if you pay us this much money, then your profile shows up higher in search results on Yelp. And if you pay us this much money, we can get rid of the negative reviews for you.
Yeah.
Like, it's extortion already.
Yeah, Yelp is already crappy in that way. That's true.
So imagine when they start charging like, hey, and if you pay us this much money, we can get rid of that scarlet R for you.
Yeah, that's right.
Right?
Yep. No. And look, Yelp's not hard to build. I mean, getting all the data is a pain, but it's not that bad. You can build it. It's 2020. Yelp is old. It can be reproduced.